When temperatures plummet to minus 40 degrees Celsius in the Mongolian steppes, survival becomes an art form that homeless populations have mastered through centuries of adaptation. Tonight, we're diving deep into the extraordinary techniques used by Mongolia's most vulnerable citizens to survive brutal winters inside basic tents without any modern heating systems. These aren't theoretical survival tips from outdoor manuals. These are real methods developed through necessity, passed down through generations, and refined by people who face life or death situations every single night during Mongolia's merciless winter months. The strategies you're about to discover have kept people alive in conditions that would kill most of us within hours. From ancient body heat conservation techniques to ingenious tent modifications using nothing but scavenged materials, these survival methods represent human ingenuity at its most desperate and effective. Some of these techniques are so counterintuitive that they challenge everything we think we know about staying warm in extreme cold. The foundation of homeless Mongolian survival lies in understanding traditional felt production and layering. Unlike modern synthetic materials, felt wool retains its insulating properties even when wet from snow or condensation. Homeless individuals collect discarded felt pieces from gear manufacturing workshops in Ulaanbaatar's industrial districts, particularly around the felt factories near the Tool River. The layering system follows a specific hierarchy that maximizes thermal efficiency. The base layer consists of any available cotton or wool clothing, typically salvaged from donations or second-hand markets. Over this goes a middle layer of compressed felt pieces, often sewn together using fishing line or strong thread scavenged from textile workshops. The outer layer combines additional felt with plastic sheeting or tarpaulin materials to create a moisture barrier. The key innovation lies in creating air pockets between each layer. Homeless Mongolians stuff dried grass, newspaper, or even plastic bags between felt layers to trap warm air. This technique, called aerog layering in local terminology, can increase body heat retention by up to 60% compared to wearing clothes without the air gap system. Foot insulation deserves special attention in this system. Multiple pairs of socks, if available, are worn with plastic bags between each pair to prevent moisture transfer. Felt boot liners, often handmade from factory scraps, provide crucial protection against frostbite. When proper boots aren't available, layers of felt are wrapped around feet and secured with rope or strips of fabric, creating makeshift winter boots that can function in extreme temperatures. Mongolian homeless populations have developed precise sleeping positions that maximize heat retention and minimize heat loss to the ground. The primary position, known locally as the winter wolf curl, involves lying on one side with knees drawn up to chest, arms crossed over torso, and chin tucked down. This position reduces the body's surface area exposed to cold air by approximately 30%. Ground insulation becomes critical for survival. Experienced individuals create elaborate ground barriers using layers of cardboard, newspaper, plastic bags, and any available fabric. The layering sequence matters enormously. Plastic goes directly on the ground to prevent moisture seepage, followed by paper products for insulation, then fabric or clothing for comfort and additional warmth. The most effective ground insulation technique involves creating a nest structure. This requires gathering enough materials to build walls around the sleeping area, typically 8 to 12 inches high, filled with insulating materials like dried grass, paper, or rags. The sleeper then lies within this nest, with additional materials pulled over their body like a cocoon. Body heat sharing, while risky due to social dynamics, remains a common survival strategy. 2 or 3 people sleeping together can share body heat effectively, but this requires careful positioning to avoid pressure points and ensure everyone receives warmth benefits. The standard configuration places the coldest person in the middle, with others positioned on either side. Breathing techniques play a crucial role in maintaining core body temperature. The Mongolian method involves breathing through the nose exclusively, which warms incoming air more effectively than mouth breathing. Additionally, controlled breathing exercises performed before sleep help generate internal heat. These exercises involve rapid, shallow breaths for 30 seconds followed by slow, deep breathing, repeated in cycles until drowsiness sets in. Without access to fuel or electricity, Homeless Mongolians have developed ingenious methods for generating heat using only materials found in urban environments. The most common technique involves creating heat sources from combustible waste materials, carefully managed to avoid carbon monoxide poisoning or fire hazards. Candle heaters represent the safest improvised heating method. Large tin cans, often from institutional food services, are modified to house multiple small candles. Holes punched near the bottom allow oxygen flow, while the metal can radiate heat effectively throughout a small tent space. Tea light candles, often obtained from restaurants or temples, burn for several hours and provide sufficient heat to raise tent temperature by 10 to 15 degrees Celsius. The alcohol burner system uses high-proof alcohol in small containers with fabric wicks. While alcohol is expensive and difficult to obtain, small quantities can be stretched by creating multiple tiny burners placed strategically around the sleeping area. These burners produce clean heat without dangerous fumes, making them safer than other combustible heating methods. Body heat amplification techniques involve physical exercises performed inside the tent before sleep. Mongolian homeless individuals practice specific movement routines designed to generate internal heat without causing excessive sweating. These routines include rapid hand and foot flexing, isometric muscle contractions, and controlled shivering exercises that stimulate circulation. Hot water bottles, when water is available, provide hours of warmth using improvised containers. Plastic bottles filled with hot water from public sources like bathhouses or restaurants are wrapped in fabric and placed against the torso or feet. The water retains heat for several hours, providing crucial warmth during the coldest parts of the night. Chemical heating methods utilize materials found in urban waste streams. Certain cleaning products, when mixed carefully, produce exothermic reactions that generate heat. However, these methods carry significant risks and are only used by the most experienced individuals who understand the chemical processes involved. Standard camping tents provide minimal protection against Mongolian winter conditions, requiring extensive modifications for survival. The first modification involves creating a double wall system using plastic sheeting, tarps, or additional fabric layers attached to the tent's exterior. This creates an air gap that significantly improves insulation while providing wind protection. Wind is often more dangerous than cold temperatures alone, as it strips away body heat through convection. Mongolian homeless individuals construct windbreaks using scavenged materials like wooden pallets, cardboard sheets, or metal panels positioned around tent perimeters. These barriers don't need to be tall. Even knee-high windbreaks can reduce wind chill effects dramatically. Ground cloth systems extend beyond simple moisture barriers. Multiple layers of different materials create comprehensive ground protection. The bottom layer typically consists of plastic sheeting to prevent ground moisture from seeping upward. Over this goes insulating material like cardboard, newspaper, or fabric scraps. The top layer uses softer materials for comfort while maintaining insulation properties. Tent entrance modifications prevent heat loss through the door opening. A double door system using hanging fabric or plastic creates an airlock effect, preventing cold air from rushing in when entering or exiting. Some individuals create elaborate entrance tunnels using additional materials, extending several feet from the main tent to minimize heat loss. Interior tent organization maximizes warm air circulation while creating microclimates within the shelter. Warm air rises, so sleeping areas are positioned at the tent's highest point when possible. Storage of wet clothes and equipment happens in designated areas where moisture won't affect sleeping comfort or safety. Roof reinforcement prevents tent collapse under snow loads while maintaining insulation properties. Additional support poles, often improvised from urban debris like metal pipes or wooden boards, prevent dangerous collapse while maintaining tent shape for optimal heat retention. Condensation inside tents poses a deadly threat in extreme cold, as wet clothing and bedding lose insulation properties rapidly. Mongolian homeless populations have developed sophisticated moisture management techniques that prevent dangerous condensation buildup while maintaining warmth. Ventilation balance represents the most critical skill in moisture management. Too little ventilation causes dangerous condensation, while too much ventilation eliminates precious warm air. The optimal technique involves creating small, controllable air vents near the tent's peak that can be opened or closed based on interior humidity levels. These vents allow moisture to escape without creating drafts in the sleeping area. Breathing moisture control requires sleeping with head partially outside the main sleeping area to prevent exhaled water vapor from condensing on bedding or clothing. Some individuals create breathing tubes using rolled materials that direct exhaled air outside the main tent space while maintaining body warmth. Wet clothing management follows strict protocols to prevent heat loss. Wet items are never kept in the immediate sleeping area, instead being placed in designated drying zones within the tent, where body heat can gradually evaporate moisture without affecting sleep comfort. Priority drying goes to socks and undergarments that directly contact skin. Absorption materials help control moisture when ventilation alone isn't sufficient. Newspaper, fabric scraps, or other absorbent materials are strategically placed in areas where condensation typically forms, like tent walls or roof areas. These materials are regularly rotated and dried to maintain their moisture-absorbing capabilities. Snow management becomes crucial when tents are surrounded by snowdrifts. Snow should never be allowed to accumulate on tent walls or roof, as it reduces insulation effectiveness and can cause structural problems. Regular snow removal, typically performed during bathroom breaks or when checking heating sources, prevents dangerous buildup. Survival depends entirely on successfully acquiring materials and resources from urban environments. Mongolian homeless individuals have developed systematic approaches to scavenging that maximize survival chances while minimizing legal risks and conflicts with authority. Industrial waste streams provide the highest quality survival materials. Textile factories around Ulaanbaatar discard felt scraps, fabric remnants, and thread materials that are perfect for insulation and clothing repair. Construction sites offer cardboard packaging, plastic sheeting, and sometimes insulation materials that contractors discard during building projects. Restaurant and hotel waste contains valuable survival resources. Large hotels discard partially used soap, towels with minor damage, and sometimes food waste that can be safely consumed. Restaurant grease, while not suitable for consumption, can be used to waterproof fabrics or as a fuel source for improvised heating systems. Market waste represents a consistent resource stream. Daily markets in Ulaanbaatar generate significant amounts of cardboard, plastic bags, and fabric materials. Timing scavenging activities to coincide with market closing times maximizes available materials while avoiding conflicts with vendors. Medical facilities dispose of materials that can be repurposed for survival. Clean bandages, medical gauze, and certain types of medical equipment packaging provide high-quality materials for wound care, insulation, or tent repair. However, accessing these materials requires extreme caution to avoid contaminated medical waste. Transportation hubs offer unique resources including newspapers, cardboard, plastic bottles, and sometimes discarded clothing. Train stations and bus terminals in particular generate consistent waste streams that include materials suitable for insulation and weather protection. Survival often depends on informal networks among homeless populations that share resources, information, and mutual protection. These networks operate according to unwritten rules that maximize everyone's survival chances while maintaining social order in desperate circumstances. Information sharing networks communicate vital survival information, including weather changes, police patrol patterns, resource availability, and dangerous areas to avoid. This information travels rapidly through homeless communities, often preventing deaths from exposure or other hazards. Resource pooling allows individuals to combine scavenged materials to create better survival equipment than any single person could assemble alone. Groups might combine their felt scraps to create larger, more effective insulation systems, or pool their collected materials to build superior windbreaks or tent modifications. Skill sharing ensures survival knowledge spreads throughout the community. Experienced individuals teach newcomers essential techniques like proper tent insulation, safe heating methods, and effective scavenging strategies. This knowledge transfer prevents unnecessary deaths from basic survival mistakes. Watch systems provide security and safety monitoring. Community members take turns staying awake to monitor for dangers, including police harassment, criminal activity, or medical emergencies. These watch systems also ensure heating sources don't become fire hazards while people sleep. Emergency protocols coordinate responses to medical emergencies, extreme weather events, or other crises that threaten community survival. These protocols include evacuation plans, resource sharing during emergencies, and communication systems to coordinate assistance for community members in distress. Maintaining health without access to medical care requires preventive strategies and improvised treatments using available materials. Mongolian homeless populations have developed sophisticated approaches to preventing and treating cold-related injuries and illnesses. Frostbite prevention focuses on maintaining circulation and recognizing early warning signs. Regular movement exercises, even while lying in sleeping positions, keep blood flowing to extremities. Toe wiggling, finger flexing, and facial muscle exercises prevent dangerous loss of sensation that signals developing frostbite. Improvised medical supplies utilize urban waste materials for basic health maintenance. Clean rags serve as bandages for minor injuries, while plastic bags protect wounds from contamination. Soap scraps from hotel or restaurant waste provide essential hygiene materials that prevent dangerous infections. Nutrition maintenance becomes critical for maintaining body heat generation capacity. The body requires calories to generate internal heat, making food acquisition a survival priority. Food safety protocols help identify safe, discarded food while avoiding dangerous items that could cause illness during vulnerable periods. Respiratory health protection involves techniques for avoiding lung damage from cold air exposure. Breathing through makeshift filters created from fabric scraps helps warm incoming air while preventing dangerous particles from entering lungs. Face coverings protect against wind chill that can cause respiratory distress. Mental health management addresses the psychological challenges of extreme survival conditions. Meditation techniques, mental exercises, and maintaining daily routines help prevent dangerous depression or anxiety that could compromise survival decision-making abilities. Understanding Mongolia's extreme seasonal variations allows for strategic preparation and adaptation that can mean the difference between life and death. Weather patterns follow predictable cycles that experienced homeless individuals use to optimize their survival strategies. Pre-winter preparation begins in late autumn when temperatures start dropping but haven't reached life-threatening levels. This period allows for gathering and testing survival materials, locating optimal shelter sites, and establishing community networks before the most dangerous winter months arrive. Storm preparation involves recognizing weather signs that indicate approaching severe weather systems. Mongolian winters bring sudden, intense storms that can drop temperatures dramatically within hours. Experienced survivors learn to read cloud patterns, wind changes, and atmospheric pressure indicators that signal incoming dangerous weather. Daily temperature cycles create opportunities and challenges that must be understood for optimal survival. The coldest temperatures typically occur just before dawn, requiring maximum heat conservation during these hours. Midday temperature rises provide opportunities for drying wet materials, gathering resources, and performing maintenance on survival equipment. Seasonal resource availability changes dramatically throughout winter months. Early winter offers more scavenging opportunities as businesses and construction projects remain active. Deep winter reduces resource availability but also reduces competition from other scavengers. Late winter brings opportunities as businesses begin spring cleaning and waste disposal increases. Weather prediction techniques using natural indicators help anticipate dangerous conditions without access to weather forecasts. Animals' behavior, cloud formations, wind patterns, and atmospheric changes provide early warning systems that allow for preparation before life-threatening conditions arrive. Microclimate identification helps locate areas with naturally higher temperatures or better wind protection. Urban environments create numerous microclimates through building placement, ground elevation changes, and heat emission from buildings or infrastructure that can provide crucial survival advantages during extreme cold periods. Caloric intake in the steppes is not just about hunger. It is a calculated fueling of the body's internal furnace. Homeless survivors distinguish clearly between filling food and warming food. The survival diet relies heavily on scavenging high-fat remnants that others discard, specifically sheep tail fat, or suline toes, and suet. Experienced individuals practice a technique known as fat loading immediately before sleep. They consume a broth made from rendered fat, or if necessary, eat solid chunks of raw animal fat. Unlike carbohydrates which burn off quickly, these dense lipids provide a slow-burning fuel source that sustains metabolic heat production throughout the 6 to 8 hour sleep cycle. This biological combustion is often the only thing preventing hypothermia when the fire goes out. Survival in Ulaanbaatar's outskirts is rarely a solitary endeavor. A unique symbiotic relationship exists between homeless populations and the city's resilient stray dogs. This is a pragmatic alliance. Humans provide scavenged food scraps, and in return, the dogs provide living insulation. Sleeping arrangements often involve a 3-dog night configuration, where dogs are positioned against the sleeper's back and chest. The dog's higher basal body temperature, or roughly 38 to 39 degrees Celsius, acts as an active heating element. Furthermore, the dogs instinctively huddle for their own warmth, creating a mutual thermal mass that retains heat far longer than a human could alone. This interspecies pile also offers security, allowing the human sleeper to achieve deeper, restorative REM sleep without the constant fear of intruders. In Mongolian culture, the kidneys are viewed as the source of bodily vitality and heat, and protecting them is a survival priority. This has led to the bus seal technique. Regardless of what makeshift coat or layers are worn, a tight, wide sash or belt is wrapped aggressively around the waist. This serves a dual purpose. First, it creates a pneumatic seal that prevents the chimney effect, where warm air generated by the torso rises and escapes through the neck opening. Second, the compression supports the lower back during shivering fits and keeps the layers pressed tight against the kidney area. Survivors often place extra pads of felt or folded newspaper specifically under this sash at the small of the back, creating a targeted heat shield for the body's most vulnerable organs. These survival techniques represent generations of accumulated knowledge developed by people facing the ultimate test of human adaptability. Each method has been refined through countless nights of life-or-death necessity, creating a comprehensive system that enables survival in conditions that would challenge even well-equipped outdoor enthusiasts. The ingenuity demonstrated in these techniques reveals the remarkable capacity for human adaptation when facing extreme environmental challenges.